we are, Mental Fitness Stories. Back at this in 2025, and there's a few things I wanted to go over. One of them, the title of this podcast, with podcast burnout being a real thing. And wanted to share just part of my journey in just recording these podcasts, going through the process of trying new things, getting myself out there, so much to it, and adding the mental fitness component to it. This one specifically, I know we talk a lot about curiosity. I know we talk a lot about what I'd put in there is this self-kindness. And in this specific process, I found myself at the end of last year. And if you followed, you'll go through a series of interviews that I was able to do last year, leading up to a 30-day mental fitness challenge. Focusing on curiosity, it was around training time for me, around a triathlon that I completed, and the recovery process after that triathlon. What I found out as well is that burnout is real. And the mental energy that it takes to create. So those of you who are, whether it's fellow podcasters or creatives, let's talk a little bit about this burnout aspect. I think for me, I can just go over my story and lay out why burnout can happen and how, in this case, something like mental fitness and self-kindness can really help turn around that burnout feel. So first off, burnout itself. So as I was plugging away the 30-day mental fitness challenge, there was so many new things that I was doing. One, the social media presence, being a part of that world, and in this case, producing and recording and publishing something on a consistent basis. The planning that takes, the execution that it takes to, whether it's shoot a video or put out something like what I ended up doing was quotes and reflections with maybe some kind of media form, right? Photos, videos, music, and going through the learning process of that and then getting to the publishing, right? A little bit of the editing portion, a little bit of that spot where you are really interacting with, I would consider, the perfectionist inside of me, and having to get to the place to publish, right? To create the story, create the reel, create the short, whatever social media platform you are a part of. At this level in the podcasting world, this was new to me. And going through that energy, I could see and feel, one, the excitement behind it, and two, the amount of energy that was expended. I think there's something about sometimes the creativeness that sometimes gets lost. It's a little underrated in how much energy you put forth during that process. And, just taking, let's say, one video, right, specifically. First off, there is the planning portion of that. What am I going to say, right? How is it that I want to structure this? How long is it going to go? And as you're going through the planning portion, that one takes up energy. Moving from the planning now to the executing, right? Or the recording portion of it. That also takes setup. It takes the background. Sometimes it's the lighting, right? Sometimes it's the how you're going to record it, what you're going to speak into, the mic itself. Are you going to have headphones? So many of these decisions that are being made, which take energy. After the setup portion, then it's the execution, right? It's the moment where you have been preparing to then be in front of the camera and state what you're going to state. That takes more energy. And now you're leading up to, once you've recorded, the editing portion. Creativeness that is kicked up to put out this, whether again, video or reel or short or whatever it could be, put this out there into the world in the ways that you want to put it out. And with sometimes it's limited expertise. Sometimes it's going through these moments where you're learning, like how to do something on Instagram where you're actually speaking, but you want music. So then you have to go into certain parts of Instagram to then be able to lower the music volume down and increase your volume up. Just things like that, right? But man, at the end of it, and in this case, it went for me from being maybe some videos I'd put out that were 7 to 8 minutes long to literally 12, 10-second shorts or reels. And each one of them, a certain amount of energy, a part of it. And so at the end of that, in this case for me, the 30 days, right, that I put forth to keep putting out these videos, keep putting out these reels, I was done. And I look back at it now and I go, oh, that makes sense why I'd be done. There was a ton of energy that I put into it. And not only the energy piece of all of the production, and then there's the response. Then there's the, oh, I wonder how that one was viewed, liked, not liked, commented on, not commented on. So putting into perspective, I think, is something that I found in this creative world and recognizing burnout. Now, I've gone through burnout in different aspects of life. One of them is being a therapist in the realm of what maybe you've heard as compassion fatigue. And what I recognize is the energy put forth is not matching my own, whether it's needs or the energy that is needed to restore, right? The energy output is too much and my energy input is not enough. And I ran into that. Hence for me, man, I took, end of September was when I finished my 30-day. And if we're going all the way into even the beginning of January or middle of January, where I started to put out some mental fitness polls you might have seen, that is, I took a 4-month unplanned break from podcasting because I burn out. And I really think it's an important piece to go through these experiences, move through them, because during that time, I thought about many times, oh man, I wonder what people are thinking, or I wonder why my burnout or my energy is so low to get into this, and really practicing I gotta be curious without judgment. Plenty of judgment happened for me. There's no question. And I was recognizing in my reflections, I was tired. And it came back to this place of my energy output was more than my energy input. The things that I was pulling in, the reasons why I was doing this podcast in the first place. And it took some collaboration. It took reaching out to certain people to find, again, the energy around the podcast piece. And so now I'm working towards the next steps. And one of them is tracking my energy output. From things like, okay, maybe I need to outsource some of these things, to I really enjoy collaborating, doing these things together. And these things being these podcasts, interviews, maybe it's co-hosting, but sharing and collaborating is such a big part of this for me. So I keep coming back to the energy output versus the energy input. And to me, burnout happens when that is out of whack, when that's out of balance. And so it brought back for me the opportunity to say, okay, then I need to work towards tracking that. Let's take a reflection on where I am in my energy. After the times that whether I put out and publish a short or reel, whether I put out and publish a video, a podcast, where am I at with that? Giving myself a chance. Then sometimes it's playing around with the schedule, right? Being curious without the judgment has allowed me to reflect and go back over the things that are helpful for me. And so I just want to share more about how real, in this case, podcast burnout is, or in some other cases, clinician burnout, right? As a therapist, maybe it's a work burnout piece. Maybe it's a family relationship burnout piece. Maybe it's just feeling that in life, giving yourself a chance to look at it with curiosity, not judgment, so that then you can feel it a little bit. And then you can start exploring. Maybe there's a need for some different options. And so that's what's led me here today. I'm here, I'm going, I'm moving forward, and I just wanted to share with you a part of the journey that I've had to go through. And if burnout is one of those things that you recognize in your life, one, I'd be curious to hear how you've experienced it, how you've moved through it. And two, also just recognizing that for me, this concept of being curious without judgment continues to help shape how I can move through life. Recognizing that I'm doing the best I can. That's that self-kindness part. Bringing that in, that I am enough and that I am okay with even what I perceive as failures or our mistakes. I did not intend to take a break for 4 months, and yet it happened. And in this case, I think it needed to happen for me to be at a place now of being able to share it, share the journey, and recognize how important tracking something like my energy is, my output, my input. And so one of the things that I'll also be able to speak more about is as you're tracking that output and input of energy, I think one way to do that is a tool I've used called the life-giving inventory. Recognizing where in life that you do find that energy input, right? The things that are needed for you in life, that give you life, that don't necessarily take that energy out. And so I'll be able to talk more about that as well. I want to share future opportunities for mental fitness stories. That 2025 is a year for me of collaboration, that there will be more challenges to come. Maybe not 30 days, maybe 21 days is something I've found to balance that out. But being able to do that with colleagues and people that I've gotten to know over the years that really can share more ways to experience mental fitness, more ways to bring awareness. That's one of the first 21-day challenges that I want to share, is how to increase your awareness so that when you increase the awareness, you can look at it with curiosity, not judgment. And it can lead to exploring other options that bring life. That you can find more happiness in life, contentment, more ease, more comfort, more peace. Make sure to keep an eye out as well for different polls on different platforms, whether it's on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, whether it's on Instagram, make sure to follow, or Facebook, and be able to respond on different polls I'll send out to just really get an idea of what certain aspects of mental fitness that you want to learn more about, and how curiosity without judgment can continue to shape life in the ways that you want to show up. So with that, be curious, stay curious, without judgment. Until next time.